What is up, folks? How's it going? This is Watch. Hope you guys are all doing well. So certainly a big trend is foldable smartphones, and the whole purpose behind them is certainly the fact that you get the size and kind of screen real estate that you would find on a small to medium-sized tablet, while still having the portability factor of a traditional smartphone that you can fit more or less comfortably in your pocket. The two big competitors thus far are the Samsung Galaxy Fold and the Huawei Mate X. Now, the Samsung is definitely going the more complicated route in terms of its design and functionality. Essentially, the phone is made out of two primary displays. You have the fold-out display that opens like a book, and then you have a cover display, which is going to allow you to use the phone more or less like a traditional smartphone. The Huawei is a lot more simpler. It's just using a single large fold-out display that you actually flip open the opposite direction. Now, in terms of specifications, both devices are going to be using OLED displays. In terms of the actual resolutions and size themselves, starting with the Samsung Galaxy Fold, it's going to be using a 4.6-inch display on the cover side that has a native resolution of 1960 by 840, 21 by 9 aspect ratio, so that's a fairly tall display that's quite narrow. And the fold-out display is 7.3 inches, has a resolution of 2152 by 1536. That's an aspect ratio of 16 by 10, so pretty traditional aspect ratio there. And we have a PPI count about 414. Now, when you're using the Huawei Mate X in phone mode, you're actually going to have a display at the back and at the front, which is really cool. So at the front of the device, you're going to have a 6.6-inch display with a resolution of 2480 by 1148. On the back side will be a 6.38-inch display with a similar resolution of 2480 by 892. When you have the Huawei in tablet mode, you're going to have a super large 8-inch display with a resolution of 2480 again by 2200. And that PPI count is actually pretty much the same as the Samsung Fold, about 414, which is interesting. Now, you can see in tablet mode, the Samsung Galaxy Fold has a notch on the top right-hand corner. That's to make room for the actual cameras themselves. We'll talk about the camera design on the Mate X, which is really interesting, but let's just get into the camera specifications. We have a total of 6 whopping cameras on a single smartphone on the Galaxy Fold. We basically have a super wide, a kind of standard wide lens, and then a telephoto lens at the back of the device. And at the front of the tablet, we have 2 front-facing cameras. One is a 10 megapixel, another one is an 8 megapixel with RGB depth sensing. That's probably for facial recognition unlock. And at the cover portion of the display, when you're using it in phone mode, you also have another 10 megapixel front-facing camera. The Huawei is actually a lot more simpler. We basically have 3 cameras located on a single sidebar on the back of the device. So you're probably going to have a standard wide-angle lens that's about 40 megapixels, an ultra-wide-angle lens that's around 16 megapixels, and then a telephoto lens that's around 8 megapixels. Now, a really neat feature about the Huawei camera is that since it's mounted on the back of the unit itself, and when somebody has it in the phone mode, since it's folded out and the camera is facing the subject, and you also have another display right beside the cameras, the person who's actually being shot can actually view their real life preview in real time while the other person is viewing the exact same thing and has all the camera controls in front of them. So that's a really neat feature, something that never has been done before. So definitely an innovative design feature from Huawei nonetheless. Now, in terms of the internal specifications, certainly these are going to be powerful smartphones. Samsung hasn't completely unveiled what's going to be exactly inside, but they said a 7-nanometer 24-bit processor. Perhaps the Snapdragon 855 chip is probably a likely candidate. On the Huawei Mate X, we have the current 980 chip, which is the exact same chip that we found on the Mate 20 Pro. We're going to have about 12 gigabytes of RAM with 512 gigabytes of internal storage capacity on the Samsung, and probably expect to see anywhere between 8 to 12 gigabytes of RAM on the Huawei with, again, similar storage configuration, about 512 gigabytes. Interestingly, both smartphones are going to have side-mounted fingerprint scanners, so you can unlock the device that way, which is neat. And lastly, when it comes to the battery performance, both are going to be utilizing dual battery solutions, so battery in in each of the folded sections. In terms of actual capacity itself, on the Fold we have a 4380 milliamp hour battery, and on the Huawei, since we're dealing with a larger display that has a larger battery by a slight amount, you're looking about 4500 milliamp hours. Additionally, the Samsung is going to have wireless charging capabilities, and it'll come with 18-watt fast charging capabilities. The Mate X has an even more powerful charging infrastructure. It's going to come with a 55-watt supercharger, which will get you around 85% charge in just around half an hour, which is definitely really impressive. I'm not too sure if it'll have wireless charging at this point. Now, certainly one of the biggest drawbacks of these foldable smartphones is going to be the price point. On the Samsung side, you're looking at $2,000 USD for the base model. It's going to come out sometime in May the 3rd or early May. Pre-orders go out on April the 26th. And the Mate X is going to come out mid-2019. Again, the exact release date isn't known at this time, but the price is going to be even more expensive. You're going to be looking around $2,300 Euro, and then about $2,600 in the US. Perhaps things will get a little bit cheaper, but not by much. These are very expensive devices to develop. I'm sure Samsung and Huawei have spent God knows how many millions of dollars in developing these things, and they're certainly going to charge a pretty penny for the people that want to own them. So definitely a huge drawback and a huge amount of money to put down on a smartphone. If you have any specific questions, definitely let me know. Love to hear your thoughts on these foldable smartphone devices. I don't know if we're even going to call them phones anymore, but definitely something new, innovative, and a change in the way that we consume media for sure. So love to hear your thoughts. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and with your support, hopefully we can do this comparison in real life once these devices become available. Thanks again.